Hello everyone, welcome back to some more racing in the MRL Racing League. We are joined here today for Tier 1. Even though it says Tier 3 on the screen, it is Tier 1 today. Don't worry about that, it will be fixed shortly. I am here joined by Dan Field. Hello Dan Field.
Hi everyone, and thank you for having me in MRL. It's the first time I've ever actually commentated on this league. I've only really dipped my toes in with only one or two other leagues on the PC platform, and I'm really excited for this one. You know, a lot of drivers I do know, but a lot of them I'm not too familiar with. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they all get on today.
Yes, and we're here for Tier 1 in the Hungarian, which bring us some very good racing last time we saw. We are here for the 14 turns circuit, bringing some nice overtaking turn 1s and turn 14. There's a lot of good spots to overtake and go side by side, a lot of elevation change as well as traction zones. They're really hard on the tires, so strategy is going to be a key important play here for the drivers. Looking at the standings though, we see that that is not the standings. Here we are. We see that Brainstu is right now leading the Drivers' Championship in front of Chenjay. Chenjay needs to perform well to get close into that championship title, and especially in this track where it's really easy to lose yourself. It's Brainstu needs to keep focused and be composed for this race. Looking at the calendar though, we are more than halfway done with this racing league, as the next race is Singapore, another brilliant track to be watching on. Tire strategy is going to be key important here for Hungary today, as many will commit to the one stop, but it is also key to look out for the rain as well. Rain will be an important factor to these drivers here and will definitely bring us some good racing. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Hungary is a very tricky circuit to get perfect, and some people do like to call it Monaco without the walls. I tend to agree. There's not too many places where you can go for a lurchy move up the inside, but there are brilliant places where you can fit into pretty narrow bits with two very wide cars, and it is brilliant to see when drivers go side by side. It might not be the most common occurrence, but it is brilliant just to see how controlled some of these tier 1 drivers can be when fighting each other.
And it's interesting you say Monaco without the walls, as it is a very hard track to master, and we saw that last time as many drivers collected penalties, or there was a lot of retirements even from the drivers leading the championship. We saw a lot of retirements and a lot of safety cars, so it's going to be very interesting on what the tier 1 drivers, the professional drivers of this league, will bring to this race today. Everyone is getting ready to start qualifying. Everyone's loading into the race right now, and we should be watching the race very soon as I transition to the lobby. Alright, welcome everyone to Hungary. We are waiting now for the first cars to leave. Mainly people will leave with the medium tires. It's important to save that soft tire for this race, as wear is very important here. Softs will usually last up to 7 laps in this race, but keeping your tire wear nice and cool for this race is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry about that.
No worries, continue.
I believe the first cars are out on circuit. I believe both Williams are actually following in tandem. Valu is going to be the first one, then Verdex just following short in behind them. Both of these drivers, crucially, are on a set of the medium compound of tyres, so you're right in that prediction. A lot of these guys are going to start out on the yellow wall tyre, get some bankers down and try and start in the top 10 with that, and if they're not able to do so, they might go on to set the softs later, so that's very key to watch out for.
That is true. As we have the first cars coming out. The first cars that are out are, I believe, is it the Williams? Yes. Now this is gonna be very interesting. Qualifying is important in this place, as positions as overtaking is pretty hard in this track. As we have the first cars coming around the corners. And we have the first car, Valu, on the Williams, setting himself for a pretty good race. Right, now, going through a lap of Hungary as Valo goes for his first lap, crossing the finish line. It's important to get a good exit on turn 1 as you don't want to lose a lot of exit speed as it can affect for the next couple of turns. Turn 1, keeping that gear 5th. Oh, a little moment there. That's going to be lap 1 ruined for Valo. Maybe might go for another lap as we has his teammate Verdex as well, starting his lap as well. Navigating those corners, a little bit of moment there. That looks all good for now. This corner right here as well is very easy to invalidate as we have a couple of cars going in that turn right now. This turn is you need to have that exit speed because exit speed is very important to transfer speed to over the corners. Bit of understeer, but it's looking really good for Vertex right now as we have other cars coming on, starting their qualifying laps. As well, a lot of people starting on soft tires, and that is very interesting to look at as having a set of soft is always smart, but as well as setting a good banker lap for yourself is very key. As Vertex sets the first lap with the medium tires, as we saw, he had a bit of a moment, so we will soon see that time being beaten. As well, Jack AC starting his first lap, and now the fastest lap so far, 1:15.0. Let's see where the other drivers will be coming in. Oh, as we see Yare having a spin. Hopefully, it doesn't impede any other drivers as he let all the drivers pass him. Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one there. I believe that was turn number 13 or turn 12, if I'm not mistaken, where he unfortunately lost the car, but more drivers about to finish up on their runs. I believe Eruption's going to be the next across the line. I think they were invalid. What about Magnetar in the McLaren? Goes second fastest, just behind best mate in the Mercedes, currently out on top at the moment. I'm trying to look for some key drivers. I believe Vexit has just begun on a lap through turn number 1 and opening up the DRS just a little bit after he gets it down on the power. Of course, very tricky with the DRS open to get the traction down. As now turns through turns 2 and 3. Oh dear. Vexit with a little bit of a slide, and that might be the end of his lap, but he he's going to back off here, and yeah, that really just cost him completely.
Yeah, it's really hard with those turns. You catch yourself with either cold tires or understeer, as well as easy to invalidate on those turns, especially turn 4 and turn 14. They're really hard on the traction zones, and they can be really hard on the tires, so they really have to look out for that. As you see with many drivers having their moments as well. It's key to have that consistency, especially during the race where it's easy to rack up those penalties, and that penalties would definitely affect your race results.
Yeah, absolutely. Session rolls on, I guess. Got 12 minutes left, only 10 drivers have set a lap so far. But I do believe we do have some more drivers through the final sector. Is Eruption. But I think they're backed off, and they've actually got no front wing. But they must have had an off somewhere on circuit. And Brainshoe, championship leader, of course, going to the top. 14.477. Brilliant stuff from him. Going 2/10 clear, just about over best mate at the moment, currently in P2. And 1-3 for Alfa Romeo. Jakach, hopefully I've said that one right. He's pretty close to a teammate today.
Yeah, the Alfa Romeos are really looking good, especially on the standings right now. They really need those points to extend their gap, and especially when Brainshoe is leading the championship and Chenje is right behind them as well. Chenje unfortunately not racing today, but is also Brainshoe can use this opportunity to rack up those championship points and especially extend the gap. As the cars are coming in for their pits, as well as some cars coming in on their outlap. We have Verdix on his outlap on the soft tires. Most drivers will opt for the soft tires now, especially when some of the drivers starting on the mediums, they will have a fresh soft in their tire rack ready to use when needed. I think Brainshoe is on the lap or either on the outlap, I think.
Brainstew's finished up on his run there.
Right.
I think got to be the furthest one out on a lap at the moment. It's going to be Avi, if I'm not mistaken. Just coming through the first sector now, actually second sector now, in towards the chicane here. Let's see what he could do on the medium set of the compound tyres. And now coming through this twisty part of the circuit. Got around flat out through here, in through the left-hander. And let's see through the second sector split what Avi can do. Going to be 53.9 through here. And in towards sector 3. Very tricky this next part, and an invalidation unfortunately. Running a slight bit too wide, and it cost him dearly. Going to have to go either gear up for another lap or pull into pit lane, put off to the right side. Avi's going to come back into the pits alone now for Tauri today, not being able to set a lap.
Yeah, unfortunately not setting a lap with those medium tires, but at least he has a fresh softer tires to use for the race. But that is unfortunate, especially when you're coming towards the end of your lap. It's not a good sight, especially when you're a driver. You just put in a good lap, and to invalidate like that is really unfortunate. As we have most of the cars coming for a lap, we have Magnetar starting his lap right now, starting in P4, hoping to bring his position up. You guys also have, I believe, Vertex on his lap. I think he's about to finish his lap, I think. Or, yes, he is. Let's see what lap time he will come through. Coming to that fast right-hander. Let's see what lap he will get. And that's P5, 14.8. Good lap from Vertex. As we have most of the drivers coming in for their second lap. BI's as well on the Red Bull, starting with his lap with a 15.5, hoping to bring his position up. At turn 5. Hoping you can get that traction out that corner. At turn 6, hoping you get that entry speed to carry through those corners. That's looking really good for Jag right now. We have Mateo starting his lap as well, just carried through turn 1.
It's important to mention, Mateo is actually the quickest driver on the medium compound tyres, of course. On a set of the softs now, they set their initial lap at 15.7. on a set of medium tyres as Magnetar goes to the top there ahead of Brainstew at 14.399. Brilliant stuff there from him. As that's going to put our championship leader down in towards P2. I'm currently watching Mateo on the set, currently P11, but he's looking really strong in this Haas car, riding it close to the curb through the second sector and in towards the split here. Going to be a 53.035, already a whole second up, and he's still got the final sector to go. Got a Williams car just in front of him here, and through the long sweeping left-hander. Very slow, very tricky part of the circuit to absolutely nail. A bit of a slide through the final corner, turn 14, and running it out wide, and a spin across the line. And a brush the wall, and oh dear, I was looking like a really strong lap, but it's all gone. It's all gone.
Yeah, he had purple sectors all across the board, and to mess up on the last turn is an unfortunate sight to see. Unfortunate Mateo, but there is still a lot of time left. Mateo can still have one more run and get in that time, and especially now when he was showing purple sectors and good times, there was no doubt that he will bring his positions up, especially when he is the fastest medium runner. There is no doubt in my mind that he will get a better run next time. We have Brainstew as well, starting his lap right now. This is very important for him, especially when he gets P2 in the qualifying position right now, hoping to get provisional P1. We have cars coming into pits and also cars finishing the lap, as Brownie finished starting his lap, I believe. Wow, look at that eruption with a 14.3, so close to Magnetar. That's P1 for the Mercedes, looking really good. This grid is looking really close and competitive right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm liking the look of this too. Only about, what's that, 11 thousandths of seconds ahead of Magnetar. Brainstew not too far off as well. Brainstew is actually improving on his lap currently through the first sector, so surely got to be someone to watch out for. He's now coming through the tricky, long, flat-out corners. A little bit down on his previous best time at the moment, but he can find it all in the final sector here. Brainstew, championship leader, looking to take his third win of the season tonight, already putting himself in good stead, starting towards the front of the grid. But can he improve on his position? Can he get on towards the front row here? Is he going to cross the line? Brainstew, what's it going to be? And oh, it was an improvement, but not enough. Just half a tenth off of Eruption at the moment. So really close, but it was just not enough. As there goes Vexit, shattering the timesheet. A 14.116, and that is going to be tough to beat.
What a lap from Vexit. Wow, he really showed his pace, and especially with Brainstew really close with Magnetar and Eruption. It's a really competitive grid, and it's just really good how all these cars are so close to each other and keeping their composure as well on the track. Everyone's finishing their laps now for their second run. Coming into the pits, I believe we have still a few cars outside finishing the lap, but for now everything is looking good. So from P1 to P5, it's really close, except for Vexit kind of running away with that P1, but that will really get close to each other when the final run comes, where everything matters and you just have to push full through.
And of course, Vexit is one of the drivers I'm actually more familiar with on this grid. I only know a couple of other drivers, but Vexit I do know very well, and he's shown he's got some brilliant pace, racing in some other leagues at the very pinnacle, and of course fighting out towards the front in the championship. It's brilliant to see him really taking it to these guys in Hungary, as Valu is also on a lap, and he's 10 seconds up on his previous best time. Granted, his previous best is a 27.2. It's a bit far off the pace, but we'll see what he can do here, as it seems like he's finally managed to knit a lap together through it towards turn number 14, getting onto the power, short shifting up to 5th, and now crossing the line. What's it going to be for Valu? It's going to be 6th position with a 14.565, not too far off of Yakash. I want to say Yakash, but if anyone in the Twitch chat would like to correct me, because I think I'm pretty wrong here.
Yeah, really close to each other. So we have Vexit in P1 and P2 Eruption. Eruption hopefully wanting to get that P1 spot, and I know Eruption myself, being a Mercedes driver, where he's shown a really good pace these couple races, but he's really unlucky with unfortunate incident that's not of his control. But this Eruption does play on pads, and in the community some people say that Hungary is mainly a pad track, so hopefully Eruption could abuse that, use his pad hacks, get that traction, get that speed, and hopefully put his car on pole.
Yeah, well, I mean, people say pad OP and stuff, but you know, I think it's more about who's behind the who's actually behind the controller or the steering wheel that really makes a difference. So I think Eruption, I wouldn't put it down to towards the pad being OP. I'd say he's doing this on merit, and to be not too far off of Vexit, I'd say being pretty impressive so far. Currently P2 at the moment, as I was watching Luka Mlinak, I think it's Mlinak.
Yeah.
I'll just call him Luka to be very safe. He was on a lap and unfortunately ran a bit wide at turn number 3, so it seems like he's going to have to gear up and go for another one. But of course, do not forget, the drivers are in the pit lane. They're going to be coming out for their outlap, so if these drivers are setting the times early, they might run into some traffic.
And that's unfortunate for Luka as well, as him starting on his second lap will definitely stress those tires, and if he qualifies on that softs, that's definitely gonna bite on his tire wear, and tire wear is very important here, because the one-stop strategy is a lot faster than the two-stop, so having that one-stop strategy with fresher tires is really important. So let's see what Luke can manage, as we have their cars coming out of the pits. Lucas is going to start his second lap, as well as Eruption and Magnetar as well on their laps for their final run. Navigating through those corners, making sure not to invalidate. This is the last run, of course, so they are going to have to push everything as cars is going out of the way. Eruption hoping to get that entry speed, as this is very important for turn 5. Nice, good exit from there. Eruption putting in a good solid pace. Let's see what he gets for his Sector 2 time as he's closing the end of his lap. Gone off a bit of the track, but it looks like it's purple sector for Eruption as he's up on his time. Navigating through the final corners. Gonna have to get that good traction, exit speed as cars must move out the way. Let's see if he can navigate this corner to make sure he does not spin off that turn. As he makes it through successfully, but he evacuates that lap.
Oh. That's an interesting one there. As he backs out right at the end. He looked really strong on his run, but someone else backing out is Vexit. So a lot of these drivers right at the very top are backing up on their laps. There goes Luca right to the top by just 15 thousandths of a second ahead of Vexit. Vexit was on a lap and did in fact back out. Trying to see who we can catch on their run. Oh, we can catch championship leader Brainstew. Just a little bit off the pace at the moment of the likes of Luca and Vexit. But he is coming through the first sector split. We'll see what he can do through here. He is slightly down. Just doesn't seem like Hungary is his track so far. And coming through the second sector here, what can a Brainstew do? As somehow Brownie has got a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Juan there. That's really going to hurt his time as clock has struck 0. Qualifying should be over now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Brownie there. As you see, Brainstew finishing the laps, all their cars finishing the lap, and it was kind of interesting that Eruption and as Bestmate actually beats his teammate. But it's actually interesting that Eruption. I also saw Magnetar also back away from his lap. Maybe they want to start on the fresher tires. Maybe they've stressed too much on those tires, so they just want to save. As Brownie gets disqualified from parking in a dangerous position. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yes, more times are coming out. I'm trying to see if anyone is actually on a push lap. Brainstew did go quickest on his run, 14.097 ahead of Luca. Luca's not on a run here. Seems like Mateo isn't either.
What about Jack AC is on this going through his final turn. And let's see where the Alfa Romeo comes in. Comes in P5 ahead of the 2 Mercedes. Good stuff from Jack AC, hoping to aid his teammate from the pole lap.
Mateo backing off here. I think he's off of his lap. So I do believe that is the end of qualifying. Championship leader Brainstew at a track that's very difficult to overtake on. I'd say starting on pole position is a very good place to be. And look at how close that gap is between himself and Luca. Just 3 thousandths of a second, and then Vexit not too far off either, just under 200 off of the top. So the top 3, Brainstew, Luca and Vexit, they are oh so close at the moment.
This grid is very close to each other. You can especially see with the 2 Haas, for example, that's very important to have teammates together, so maybe team orders might come into play. That'd be very interesting to look out. So we are looking as well as P5 for Jack AC and the 2 Mercedes behind them, which is as well very close to each other. And especially Luca as well has 2 laps on his qualifying soft tires, so that's going to be very interesting how he plays with the tire wear. So this is the qualifying grid. P1 Brainstew with a 14.0, very good looking for him, especially leading the championship, hoping to widen the gap. P2 Luca with the old soft tires. We have P3 Vexit and Mateo both driving for Haas, so that's a good qualifying session for the Haas team. P5 Jack AC, P6 Bestmate, and P7 Eruption, both the Mercedes together. We have Magnetar for driving for McLaren. Unfortunately, his teammate has been disqualified. We have P9 Valu and the 2 Finns Candy King driving for Williams and Red Bull. P11 Vertex, P12 Juanlu, P13 Yag, P14 Scars, and P15 Mark. And the last top 5, or the last top 3, is Avi driving for Avatari, Yare Santiago for Aston Martin, and unfortunately Brownie being disqualified. That's very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, not too sure what happened with him, with the collision with Juan as well. So he's already getting a 5-place grid drop, so I'd say he was gonna, the disqualification doesn't really affect him. He was already gonna start last. But I want to also mention how close the entire grid is. I believe top 15, about 7/10 of a second separating all of them. So it is really close, this grid. And coming into this race, looking like it's a slight bit overcast. Could hint at some rain possibly later into the race. But I'd say at the moment, you can see in the Mercedes garage in eruptions, in the eruption side of things, he's got soft tyres laid out there. So I'd imagine that we are going to be starting in the dry conditions. Whether or not that changes to rain later on in the race, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's looking a bit misty here in Hungary. Looks like most everyone is getting ready with their setups. This grid is again incredibly close, which is going to bring us some very good racing as the drivers are now gearing up for their formation lap. We have 10 seconds on the board until we start. And what do you think about safety cars, Dan? As we saw from previous races, is that safety cars does like to come out here, especially in this track where it's very hard to keep the cars in this track.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we saw a lot of drivers making mistakes in qualifying, having their spins, and we saw some drivers without front wings at all. So I'd imagine that it is going to be very brutal around this circuit as to whether drivers actually make it to the very end. We'll just have to see how they all cope under pressure in a race scenario. Of course, qualifying is a lot different. You're just one car out on circuit by yourself. When you're in a race, that's 18 cars from Brainstew to Brownie. All of them, really, they are in close proximity. So especially on this first lap, they have to be very, very careful. I'd say if we're likely to have a safety car in this race, it is probably going to come within the first couple of laps.
Especially if the drivers are fighting for those points, they're going to be a bit greedy. Hopefully everyone can manage through turn 1 safely, as we've seen a lot of races that turn 1 is the major diving moment for drivers where they feel like they can dive into that turn 1. Interesting, we have Juan Lu in P12 starting on hards, which is very interesting, as hards again is slower than the mediums, but as being like at the top of the grid at P12, that's very interesting, as he shows hards. The hards can last very long, especially in this track. So maybe Juan Lu hoping to keep his pace, keep his consistency to last out those hards. So he plays on the safe side to go on those softs.
Absolutely, he's going to be going very late into this race on the set of the hard compound tyres. Of course, the rest of the drivers outside the top 10, they've all opted for the mediums, aside from Brownie starting at the very back of the grid. Also on the white wall tyres, of course, the top 10, they're all on the tyre that they qualified on. So Brains due all the way down towards Candy King. All of them are on a used set of the softs. So the likes of Vertex and Yags on the mediums, they're going to have a great advantage in the early to mid part of this race. Lap 10 is when they're really going to start to come into their own.
And we have all the cars lining up for the race start. This is very exciting. I'm getting some goosebumps right now, as we don't know what's going to happen. And there we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Bit of desync, and we are away. As for the Hungarian Grand Prix, we have started as Brainstew. Actually, Luke has gotten a bit of a good start, going side by side with Brainstew right now. As they see if he can overtake him by turn 1, he's going side by side, and he looks like he is ahead of him right now. That's very good for Luke right now, as overtaking is so key right now. This is such a prime position for him, as with all the cars being very close to each other. Look at the Mercedes going side by side with Magnetar. Hopefully he can stay ahead of him, as he does, as Magnetar is starting to fall back a little bit. Oh, this is so well. Oh, we have the Red Bull going off. Oh no, Yags! Yags with the unfortunate retirement. Will that be a safety car?
Oh, it could be. That's in a very precarious position. I'd imagine if it was going to be deployed, we'd already see it by now. So I think we're going to keep going with this race. Yags, unfortunately, we're not going to get to see more of that beautiful Red Bull car. He's out of this race very early on here, and it doesn't even look like we're going to see a virtual safety car or even a safety car for the Troubles. But the end of lap number 1, aside from that incident there, it's looked very, very clean for all throughout the grid.
We have Luke overtaking Brainstew for that P1 position, which is very good for him, as Brainstew is hoping to quickly overtake him, as overtaking here is very, very difficult, as he as well sets the fastest lap time because he is the first car ahead of everyone. Mainly everyone's staying in their positions, but most noticeably is Mark going up 3 positions, which is always good for him, as he's starting earlier, very back from the grid. So Mark hoping to get that positions up. We have some nice battles going on right now, but everyone staying close with that train right now, hoping just to keep it on the track, not overextending too much, as this is the start and they don't want to stress their tires that much.
Yeah, and of course it's a long race ahead of these drivers, so they don't want to fight out too early. You know, you can't win a race on lap number 2 that we're on right now, so they've got to bide their time as much as they can and really strike when the iron is hot. And I'm looking at some of the teams and how well they're doing. I'm seeing Alfa Romeo, Haas and Mercedes all very much populating the top 10 at the moment. Of course, the Ferrari out on top at the moment. Luca's just pulling away, I'd say, from Brainstew ever so slightly. So we could see Brainstew lose out on a couple of points in comparison to some of his rivals, especially if Vexit is going to keep some pace with him. As coming through to begin lap number 3, DRS is now going to be enabled, and that's going to be crucial for the likes of anyone that's in within 1 second of the car in front of them. Currently, that is everyone aside from Luca. He's not going to get to feel that luxury.
Yeah, DRS enabled, meaning overtake will be a lot easier. As we see the 2 SM1s overtaking right now, going side by side, hopefully no troubles for them. As Brainstew is slowly getting together, DRS is definitely going to help, but he does have a big train behind him. Brainstew hopefully gets to pull away from that train, but we have the Haas and the Mercedes driver as well being together, and as their teammates, they really want to try to help each other get that DRS range with each other, so make sure they pull away from the train. But mainly everyone's keeping on track, everyone's keeping it nicely as we're going through these first few laps. Everyone keeping nice and tidy, and this is what we like to see. With the DRS now enabled, this is going to be very interesting on how the gap is going to be shortened and how the overtakes are going to start flowing in.
Yeah, absolutely. You can already see Brainstew is losing out on quite a lot of time towards Luca, and he's actually dropped out of the 1 second window that he needs for DRS, and that's going to be crucial for Vexit if he wants to go for an early overtake on Brainstew. Struggling at the moment as Brainstew does not have the DRS, so now Vexit is going to see this as his opportunity to strike, coming in towards turn number 1, blazing it down in towards the first corner, braking just at the I believe 75 meter mark. I don't believe he's going to be close enough. Brainstew seems to have had a really brilliant exit here. And coming in towards turn number 2, Vexit's opportunity window has gone by. Brainstew's going to stay in P2 for the time being, and he's still 1.1 seconds off of Luca, and not having that DRS, it's going to be very crucial.
Yeah, unfortunate for Brainstew. I saw on lap 3 was it that the gap was 4/10, and then by the end of the lap it was already, the DRS range was gone there. So Brainstew really needs to focus and keep those laps in to get back into the DRS range, because if not, Vexit is in a prime position to overtake him and potentially go for the win. And as well, we have the Haas driver as well, Matteo, right behind him. So Vexit hopefully wanting to pull his teammate with him to get them good points for the championship, of course. And we have Vexit right now coming into this last corner, eyeing up for the overtake as he's 3/10 right now to Brainstew. Make sure he gets a good exit for the speeds. Up shifting to get the traction, and it's looking really good for him. DRS activated with that slipstream. Looks like it's going to be an easy pass for Vexit. Maybe for Brainstew can follow. No, Matteo is a bit behind, but is also looking at Brainstew for that overtake as well. He wants to get close to his teammate, of course, and then not to lose that DRS gap. As talking about DRS gap, Jack AC has actually fallen off and is not within the DRS range with Matteo. So that's really good for the Haas drivers right now, but not looking good for the Alfa Romeo. They're still in the position for those good points, but Alfa Romeo, Brainstew needs to pull himself together, as well as Jack AC, to pull himself together to get into that DRS gap, reunite with his teammate, and get those good points.
Yeah, absolutely. Brainstew again losing a bit of time to Vexit in front of him. Now 0.8 of a second back, so he's really struggling in these early portions of the Grand Prix. Maybe his tyres aren't up to temperature, maybe he's trying to save some of it as well. We just do not know, but already out of the 1 second window that he needs for DRS. So now Matteo can capitalize on this situation. Coming through the final sector here, DRS will be enabled in towards turn number 1 and turn 2. Those are going to be the crucial parts for Matteo. Is now through turn number 14 here. Matteo's got to prioritize the perfect exit to get past Brain Stewards. Here he goes in towards turn number 1 down the straight. What can he do? He's closing, he's gaining towards Brain Stewards. Brain Stewards goes slightly defensive towards the inside line, but it's not going to be enough as Matteo going to lurch up the inside line. I do believe that Brain Stewards going to fight this one back. Not quite, he gets a slide off the exit. Brain Stewards could try and fight him back here, but Matteo on towards the podium. Brain Stewards down to 4th position. Brilliant battle we've just witnessed there, both very clean throughout it as well. Matteo up to P3.
That's amazing for Matteo, keeping it nice and clean through those corners. This is very good. This is looking very good for Haas right now. And if Matteo can rejoin with his teammate and get that DRS gap, that will eventually bring them both together closer to Luca. As you see, Brain Stew is the gap is being widened again, which is very good for best mate. But interestingly, Eruption is getting closer to Jack AC as he's eyeing up for that overtake as well and reuniting with his teammate. So this is looking very good for the Haas and Mercedes driver. Alfa Romeo needs to pull themselves together and stick with the pace, get that consistency. Very interestingly, Magnetar and Valu has pitted for hard tires this early on.
So I believe they're going to look to go to the end. Jack AC also pulling into the pit lane here, presumably to go onto a set of the hard combat tires. He's just not feeling those softs, I would imagine, as coming into the box there. Alfa Romeo going to be coming out and be ready for him, as we'll just have to have a little glimpse of what they are. It seems like medium tyres actually for Jack KC. That looks to me like a two-stop strategy. I don't see why they come in that early for a set of the mediums. Candy King has also done the same, so we'll actually see where he comes out in comparison to Candy, as he's just going to be a little bit ahead. Candy could get the overspeed in towards turn number 2, and you can actually see off the exit of the corner here, Jack KC looking a little bit weak, but Candy King not going to be able to get close because Jack KC, of course, having the DRS on the driver in front of him. He's going to manage to maintain P14, but that alternate strategy, going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Definitely, it's looking like a two-stop strategy, and that will be definitely interesting and see how it plays out, as the one-stop is it's a lot faster, but it is very risky as the tire wear racks up really high. So Jack is playing on the safe side, or maybe he is going for the one-stop, but he needs to treat those tires like it's a baby, you know. He really needs to be consistent and have the pace. But it'd be very interesting to see if Jack AC does do a two-stop and see where he ends up. As Brainstew as well, now coming to the pits, as well as Eruption. Most likely the other Mercedes will follow through the next lap. As we have now the cars coming in, let's see what tires they will change for. And it looks like the medium tires. Eruption as well. So most likely a one-stop, I believe, or alternate strategy we will definitely see with time passes by.
Just not too sure if they can get to the very end on this set of the mediums. Hey, they could prove us both wrong here. They could prove me certainly wrong. As Eruption, oh my goodness me, going up the inside of Valu. Both of them came very close to making contact, but luckily was just able to avoid it in the end. As Juan gets another penalty. That's a second, I believe, 3-second time penalty.
Ooh, and he slides off the track and he has no front wing. Oh no, this is a bit of a commentator's curse, to be honest. No, but unfortunately to turn 4 he slid off that track and lost his entire front wing. That's unfortunate for Honlu.
Unfortunately, also had my game crash, which is lovely. I should be able to get back into the lobby. Hopefully, it's very kind of Codemasters to crash my game. It doesn't want to crash it whenever I'm just practicing or whatever. It's got to be when I'm commentating. I'll swiftly get back into the lobby.
That's unfortunate for them, but we will have you come back as soon as possible, as we have cars coming in now. Matteo and Bestmate pitting. Matteo, interestingly, pitting for the hard tires on lap 9. And Bestmate pitting for the medium tires. So this is going to be very interesting where Matteo ends up with those hard tires. As we have Juanlu made a mistake and Yeah, he's unfortunately pitting. He most likely retiring from the race. That's unfortunate for the Aston Martin driver. But we have the first two front runners, the soft runners, Luca and Vexit, still haven't pitted yet for their mediums or hard tires. So they need to come in now as tire wear is slowly degrading, and the medium runners are definitely catching up soon, as we have Verdict's 3 seconds behind. So he definitely needs to think about when they're going to pit soon. As we have Yare and Mark going through some overtakes. Yare very close to Mark right now, eyeing for that overtake on that DRS section mayhaps. Or might go for the dive on this turn, you never know. This is going to be very interesting with Matteo. I'm going to definitely follow him, because with those hard tires, he's definitely going to fall off with pace as he goes off the track a little bit. As Vexit pits, but interestingly, Luca goes for another lap at lap 10. Those tires, especially since he stressed those tires in qualifying, this is very, very interesting on why he decided to stay out. He definitely wants those fresh mediums, those fresh tire wear for the race, and Reigns to sets the fastest lap. Let's see what Vexit pits for the medium tires, of course, as this is the prime strategy right now, looking for Vexit. Coming in close contact with Jack AC, but looks like Jack AC has gained some time on Vexit, and interestingly, Brains too, as well as head of Vexit. So maybe strategy might have not worked out, but he is on fresher tires. Jack AC is on older tires, but this is going to be very interesting on where all of them ends up, as Matteo, Jack AC, Vexit, Brains are really close to each other.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make sense to me that Luca would go for another lap here. I think Yari Santiago struggling a little bit. He's also got a 3-second time penalty. So the medium's dying out early, I would say. Maybe that could be a bad omen for some of the other drivers. And here comes Luca, finally into the pit lane for Ferrari. And you'd have to think that Vexit being jumped by Brainstew, now being 1.3 seconds behind, Luca's going to have a stoic disadvantage in comparison to his rivals. So he pulls into the Ferrari pit box there. We'll see what he fits on it. It's going to be a set of the medium compound of tyres. And speaking of Ferraris, he's going to go up the inside line. His scars on, I believe, Mark there. Yeah, that is Mark, and Abby's also going to try to take advantage of this one there. Trying to go look maybe around the outside of turn number 2. Not quite, but Mark losing 2 positions in the space of just 2 corners.
Yeah, Mark unfortunately letting his guard down and letting 2 cars pass by him. That's not looking good for Mark, but this is still early. He's still behind those 2, and especially now that Abby and Scars are going to be fine together, Mark is in a position to stick behind and look through what's going on and maybe go for the same overtakes and potentially overtake them both. As we have the medium runners staying out as well. They're going to be coming in soon, not soon, but coming in maybe for the soft tires, or some of them might be entitled to the 2-stop strategy. So this is going to be very interesting to look out. Brownie still on those hard tires, and he's keeping the consistency there. Those hard tires is definitely a safe option for him, and he definitely wants to try to pit for the softs.
I mean, if he's able to keep up with the rest of his rivals, then I'd say that is a very smart thing to do. Vexit at the moment not got DRS, and that is going to leave him vulnerable to Luca, because in towards turn number 1, Luca's got the overspeed. He's got the drive in towards the first corner, easy as you like, in towards turn number 1. Luca moves up in towards P7. That's a net P2 once all the drivers in front come into the pit lane. Vexit down in towards net P3, but brilliant battling all around as Yari Santiago has had a spin in Aston Martin. Not been a good day for them. Currently 1 driver out already. One of them plumb last by about 30 seconds, I'd say. So really unfortunate to see from him. We'll just have to see how he gets on. He is on a fresh set of the hard compound tyres. So maybe he can come back later in the race. We'll just have to wait and see.
Of course, the race is not over yet. You never know what's going to happen. There's still another 14 laps left, I believe. 13 laps left. As Matteo is looking really, really nice behind Jack AC's gearbox right now. He's being quite impatient with Jack AC and hoping he can overtake him as soon as possible. For me, it looks like Jack AC has understeer, and there is a big gap with Jack AC and Vexit. So there might be some damage, but it looks like he's not pitting in, so you never know. Matteo hoping to get that nice exit out of that corner to maybe go for the overtake as he's going for the slipstream right now behind Jack AC. He is gaining quite fast. Maybe he might go for the dive in right now, either going side by side. And does he stick it through? As they're both side by side right now. Looks like Matteo is behind and Jack AC getting that better exit. Staying in front of him, but there is a collision with best mate the Mercedes right now. Hitting the rears of Jack AC. And he hits the rear of Jack AC. Oh no! Hits the eruption, hits the front of Jack AC, I believe. And that spun him out and gave him definitely damage. Oh no!
Free-for-all breaking out on lap 13. Best mate just looked like he went way up the inside in a place where he really shouldn't have stuck his nose, I'd say. Mercedes has really unraveled for them. I'm a little bit shocked at what I've just seen. Jack AC was looking like he had some good pace, of course, understeering quite a bit, but he was still certainly within the top 10. And well, they've both gone off. Jack AC, yeah, definitely has wing damage. You can see he's riding out of every corner. I can even see it on his end plate there. That is just completely wiped off. He's going to have to come into the pit lane and get that one fixed. That's almost undrivable, especially around such a downforce reliant circuit like this one. It is really important as Brainsu and Luca are going to go wheel to wheel and towards turn number 1. Sorry to cut away from the battling there because they're going to go side by side off the exit, wheel to wheel. This is for the net race lead, everybody, in towards turn number 2. Luca going to look up the inside. Can Brainsu try and get maybe a switch back move? Looks like that's Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo 2014-esque. And Luca's made the move stick ahead of Brainsu, and all that battling. He's also managed to bring Vexit back into the fight, but it is not over because Brainsu still keeping in close with his Ferrari rival.
That was brilliant racing from both of the Alfa Romeo and Ferrari drivers. That was really good sight to look at. As I say, yeah, unfortunate for Jack AC, Brainsu's teammate. That was really unfortunate. It just happened so fast, and the Mercedes driver didn't have enough time to react, unfortunately. So that's definitely going to be looked at from the Marshall's perspective. But yeah, unfortunate for Jack AC race to be given a disadvantage like that. But the race is still not over yet. As Eruption has a 3-second penalty, that's definitely going to affect his race, especially when he's in a prime position to get those good points. He needs to pray for the other drivers to make mistakes as well and get the penalties, or get that 3-second gap that he needs. As there's a lot of close gaps right now, as Brainsu still looking to overtake Luca. Luca again trying to get into that DRS range in front of Brownie, as he already has in right now, since Brownie has that 14-lap old tires. Luca looking really good right now for the provisional P1. As most of the medium runners, as well as Avi and the AlphaTauri of AlphaTauri and the Scars of Ferrari are going side by side, going through turn 4 right now, as they're still going side by side through that wide right-hander. As Avi fell off, oh no! The AlphaTauri going side by side, racing together, has unfortunately spun. There's been some contact of some sort, and he has unfortunately spun onto that track, especially in that turn where traction is everything. It's so hard to keep it on the track, and as well, this brings the gaps close as ever, as Mark and Brownie and Luca are now looking to overtake as well. This is some brilliant racing going on right now.
Yeah, I think Avi's incident there was just a bit of him just driving into him, I'd say. I think the room was available, and unfortunately he just spun. I'd say it's a racing incident, but at the front of the order it's looking very tasty for the battles for the upper positions. And it's going to be Luca to be the first one to try and stick a move on Brownie. Both these guys following in tandem with DRS, but in towards turn number 1. Luca looking up the inside line. That's very deep on the brakes. Oh my goodness me. And now Brainsu is going to try to take advantage of the exit. Luca moving across Brownie, and that's going to give Brainsu the advantage coming in towards turn number 2. Luca riding a little bit deep. Brainsu, can he get the better exit off of here in towards turn 3 and up towards turn 4? Brainsu has got the run, but I just don't think he's going to be close enough. What about Vexit into turn 4 around the outside? I think Brownie just about backed off there, but it was still brave, committed and bold from Vexit in towards P6 in this race, and keeping with Luca and Brainsu. Brilliant stuff throughout lap number 16, just past the halfway point, but the battles are still white hot.
Yeah, and Vexit showing that good pace. Unfortunately, Brownie's tires on those hards are falling off from those fresh mediums, and he tried his best defending, but that was some really good racing from those 3 cars. And unfortunately, Brownie coming on last, but he's still on those hard tires and hoping he could put in the pace when he comes in for his pits. But wow, what brilliant racing from Brainstew. He just came in out of nowhere and started overtaking, especially as Vex as well, being very brave, going through those turns. As we have a yellow flag for Jack AC, I believe. Yeah, spawn off a little bit, but now we have some overtaking going on with Luca, going side by side right now with Mark. Hoping to quickly get in front behind his teammate, as well as Scars getting a really good teammate right now, letting him through as there's some as they're still going side by side and battling. Mark being right behind him, getting a better exit, I believe. No, he's not. Luca is slowly pulling away as Scars is battling right now with Brainstew, and Vexy also following Brainstew as well. Looks like the medium runners are now falling off. This is basically a copycat of what happened with Brownie right now. The medium runners are slowly falling off, and the next victim right now of Brainstew and Vexit overtaking is going to overtake Mark soon. And now with Verdex right now, with a nice 8-second gap, he's looking really good on those medium runners as his fellow medium runners behind him are suffering from those overtakes. So this is some really good racing right now.
Scars did a really good job of letting his teammate through, but then holding up Brainstew enough so it'd be actually a car put in between himself and Luca, his teammate, as Jack KC unfortunately retires in the pit lane. I think Brainstew's going to look to try and make another move on Mark in towards turn number 1. Ever the catalyst of overtakes Brainstew, our championship leader, coming into this race by quite some margin. Mark does have DRS on Luca in front of him, but that's not going to stop Brainstew from trying to get close as he can off the exit of turn number 1. The grip is going to be a lot more on the fresher set of the mediums. Doesn't seem like he's just close enough to go for an overtake through there, but he's right up to the rear of the Alpine livery, just the Alpine car. Bit of a slide as well for Mark, and he really is struggling on this 17-lap-old set of the medium compound of sides. You've got to think Brainstew is going to be really frustrated to be stuck behind this slower driver, as Luca's going to be able to drive off in towards the distance here. Brainstew, he's got to get this move as quick as he can.
Yeah, as Luca is slowly pulling away from Mark, he needs to overtake Mark as fast as possible to get closer to him, as the championship is on stake here. He needs to get those points to widen the gap as much as possible, and Mark defending brilliantly right now as he has on those old 17-lap-old tires. He's looking to slow Brainstew as much as he can, as Brainstew nearly collides Mark with the rear. He needs to be careful. He needs to be patient with the overtake as they're going through the DRS zone. Vexit as well tight behind Brainstew right now. And now going through the DRS, Vexit with 50% ERS and Brainstew going side by side. Easy pass for Brainstew, and as well as Vexit following Brainstew as well. Mark looking to race with him as there's a little bit of squeeze from Vexit, but still looking good. And that's it. Yep, Brainstew goes in front of Mark, and importantly Vexit goes in front of Mark as well. Hope Brainstew kind of wanted, I believe he hoped that he would stay behind Mark so he can kind of slow him down, but Vexit with nice racing, good pace, staying behind Brainstew so he can follow Brainstew to get closer to Luca. And this is looking really bad for the medium runners, but it was good defending from Mark. He did as much as he can, and now he'll be interested to looking forward to when he pits for those softs and going all out to catch up to these guys.
Of course, you do have to commend the likes of Mark, Scars, and Brownie as well. All of them fighting on older compound of tyres, and were still able to keep it clean with the likes of Luca, Brainstew, and Vexit. They were all following right through. Scars, unfortunately, getting a 3-second time penalty. But what is important now for Brainstew is to close up through the back of Luca, 1.7 seconds behind. It is looking very, I would say it's not a great situation to be in, and you could also see all the medium runners, their tyres are wearing off around about lap 18, so I'd say it is not good. It won't be as pretty to go for the end, especially if you are Brainstew on 11 laps already on this set. It's going to be tough for him as Vexit 2 laps fresher on the tyres as well, might I add, closing up to the back of him, but he's just not close enough to go for a move, as they will slowly reel in Luca, but it is going to take some time, I'd say.
Yeah, and we can see now that Mateo and Eruption, especially when Mateo with those hard tires, have been slowly falling off from the front pack. So maybe the hard tire wasn't the right choice for Matteo, especially Eruption now is right behind him. He's looking to overtake him as fast as possible to get that position, especially as well as the medium runners flying off. He's kind of stuck behind these two slower tires. So Eruption looking forward to overtake those, as well as Vexit trying to get closer to Brainstew. But there's a gap beginning to widen between these two drivers right now. So Brainstew is keeping a nice focus, and yeah, hopefully Vexit can keep close within the DRS gap, as he still has DRS, but the gap is getting wider and wider. And Luca as well as running away with that 1.8 gap from Luca, but as well as getting closer to Vertex right now. He needs to get as close as possible, as well as being close to Vertex. He can get that DRS to get that extra pace, and I'm really looking forward to when the medium runners are gonna pit, because they are staying as long as they can. They're really driving really good with their pace right now. They're defending nicely. Everyone's tight right now with the side-by-side racing. And everyone's looking for that prime positions. There's a lot of strategy play right now with the teammates, and staying close to their gaps right now. We have Vexit getting closer to Brainstew actually. The gap used to be 8 tenths, and now he's getting closer to 5 tenths, slowly going for the overtake. So now he's realized that it's very important to get in front of him. As the gaps are now getting shorter and shorter. We have the medium runners as well. Their gap to the front runners are slowly disappearing. Their tires are now starting to wear off. And see Mark is getting some of that understeer, lifting a lot through these corners. It's Vex as well right behind him, looking to overtake him. Yari gets a 3-second penalty, but he is way behind the fields with both of the McLarens. Unfortunate for the Aston Martins today, they weren't racing that well today. We have as well as Matteo and the AlphaTauri of Avi, maybe he might go for the overtake this lap. He has the DRS in check compared to Avi with the 15%. Might go for the dive bomb right here as he goes for the send.
Ooh.
Does he sticks it through, I believe. Yes, he does. Nice racing, nice dive bomb from Matteo. That was really good racing from him, especially with those hard tires. But again, AVI with those 20-lap old tires, as Eruption going side by side as well. He's hoping he could get past AVI as fast as possible, because the more time he's behind him, the more the gap widens between Matteo, and he doesn't want that. ERS both low for both of them, and yeah, sadly he couldn't overtake. He couldn't follow through with Matteo as he's stuck behind AVI now, and he needs to overtake him ASAP.
A nice little bit of driving we've seen from all the drivers. Keep it clean. I'm glad Eruption did actually back out, because I'd imagine if he went for that overtake, it could have been catastrophic. As Vertex previously had a 7-second gap to Luca, that is now down to just 0.2 of a second. I think this might be the easiest move that Luca is going to make all evening, as here he goes off the exit of the corner. He might not even need DRS. As Vertex, I'd imagine he's not going to fight this one here pretty soon. Thinking about his pit stop, as now up towards turn number 1. There we go, Luca. The net race lead is no more for him. He is now the fully fledged race leader in this one. Lap 23 has just begun. He's got a brilliant advantage to the likes of Brainstew and Vexit behind him. So Luca up towards P1, Vertex in P2. Vertex, I'd say he's done a really good job of putting away from the likes of Mark and Scars. If you think about it, they were all on the same strategy and they're all very close on circuit, but he was able to get away from the pack, especially when they're all fighting.
Yeah, and it looks like Yari has retired in the pit lane. Unfortunate for both of the Aston Martins. But yeah, good job to Vertex. He definitely has that really big gap to Mark and Scars, the other medium starters, and it's going to be very interesting for him to pit for the softs and especially and to push out all day. We have Luke being in P1 right now. All he needs to do is bring it home, as they're basically no challenging him. Matteo and Scars battling out right now, as Matteo is on those 13-lap old hards, and the medium runners in front of him, their tires are slowly degrading. We have Vexit waiting to overtake Brainstew, as he's pretty close behind him, 4 tenths behind him. Might go for the move here, as he has 70% DRS, and Brainstew with that 20% DRS. He's looking to overtake him, now passing him. Can he make it through? As they are going side by side. They're still going side by side through the second DRS zone. Vex is slightly ahead, and it looks like, has he sticked it through? Yes, he has. Good job from Vexit, and with those 2-lap-old newer tires, this is really key for him as he's in that prime position, that really good point. But Brainstew is on low in ERS, and Vexit with a nice ERS management has that 57% ERS, and this is really good. This is a really good position for Vexit right now. And now looks like there's no contention for these two drivers, and Valo getting that 3-second penalty. There's no contention for these drivers, so it's mainly a battle between these two for P2, provisional P2, and we have Vexit being slowed down by Vertex. This is actually really good for Brainstew right now. He might go for the overtaking DRS if Vertex keeps holding Vexit like this.
Oh, Vexit getting very close to him through turn number 12 and up towards turn 13. They're coming through the corner now. Vertex pulling into the pit lane, but now that's going to give the advantage as well to Brainstew. He's going to be able to use some of the slipstream to potentially go for an overtake, but Vexit, he does not want to lose out on this position. He's going to put up a much tougher fight than some of the other moves we've seen in towards turn number 1. Brainstew not able to close up to the back of the Haas car very much, and that's because the Haas has been able to use some of his ERS to get away in towards turn number 2. It doesn't help that Vexit also got a healthy dose of DRS coming off the back of Vertex, who's into the pit and now pulling out. Now we'll see, I believe he's not too far off the back of Brownie, but on much fresher soft compounder tyres, so points are on the horizon for him, and he's going to be in a great position if he can catch the likes of Valu, Best Mate and Eruption, I'd say, because all of those drivers are very close on circuit at the moment. If he close up to them, I'd say he'd get all of them.
Yeah, the tire difference right now for these soft runners is monumental. So Vertex and all the soft runners are looking for the Grey Hollow points right now. Looks like they are 6 seconds Vertex 1 second behind Brownie, so he is looking to quickly overtake him as the gap is being shortened ever so greatly, as the gap is getting so close right now. And of course Brainstew still trying to follow through with Vexit, but the gap is getting wider and wider as he's now 8/10 behind him. Brainstew needs to find the pace and the ERS to get into that ERS range, but Vexit with that really good ERS management has 50% ERS as Mark gets a 3-second penalty, and this is not looking good for him as he's last place with a 3-second gap with a lot of penalties in his hand. We can look at the penalties right now. We can see that Mark has 6-second penalties and Valo with 15 seconds. Mark really needs to pull it through and go quickly to widen the gap as Luke is comfortably being in front of all the drivers right now, having a 3.5-second gap within P2. All he needs to do is bring it home and the victory will be his.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think whilst all that was going on, Vertex managed to pick up a position on Brownie at the moment. Now he's closing up to the back of Magnetar F1 at the moment. Through the second sector is where the difference in the speed on the tyres is going to be monumental, I would say, is already 0.8 of a second back from the McLaren car. He'll be closing within every single corner that he touches, I'd say, is coming through here, especially this long right. You can see the much greater confidence and speed he can carry through the corners. And in towards turn number 13, right up to the rear of Magnetar. As through turn number 13, I'd say he's going to try and get him with DRS in towards turn number 1. We'll just have to wait and see if Magnetar is able to put up a good fight here. I wouldn't say so, because Vertex is using up a lot of his battery as well, and even sets the fastest lap of the race. Magnetar trying to defend to the inside line, but it is futile because Vertex now up into P9 in this Grand Prix. He's got 3.8 seconds to the back of Valu, but of course Valu with a lot of time penalties in this Grand Prix. I'd say he's already going to be overtaking him coming towards the end. Lap 27 of 35. We're coming to the dying stages, I'd say.
Yeah, this is where it really matters right now for these soft runners and for these medium runners as well. We have Valu and Bestmate both fighting now for that P7 spot, but Valu with that 15-second penalty, that's definitely going to set him back, but he will try his best to get closer, as well as maybe Valu will try to help him to get the DRS range, as Valu know that his teammate is on the fresher tires, so he can help with the DRS range and try to maybe overtake Bestmate and to just kind of slow him down a little bit. We still have Brainstew in the DRS range, nicely keeping it in, especially with that ERS difference. He's going to use some of it now as well. He is 1/10 away from that DRS range being gone. So Brainsu needs to try his best to keep that DRS in place. As Scars get a 3-second penalty. That's so unfortunate for the Ferrari drivers. He was looking really good for this race, and especially with that soft, he was looking really good for those, a lot of overtakes. But with a 3-second penalty, he needs to widen the gap to get that good points and to get the positions. We still have Brownie in the back of his teammate, actually, looking to go for the overtake as well. Yes, as team orders comes in, as Matteo gets a 3-second penalty. That is definitely going to affect his position, especially when the grids are this close right now.
Yeah, I'd say that's very poor, especially since the likes of Candy King and Eruption does have penalties as well. But Candy King more especially is right behind him in that beautiful special Turkish Grand Prix livery. I love it for the Honda power. It's all a little tribute to them, I'd say, as they are leading F1, I believe, at the end of next season. As yeah, he's going to be closing up to him. But even saying that, Candy King's tyres are 22 laps old. He's already made a pit stop. He pitted earliest out of any of the medium runners on circuit at the moment. He might struggle towards the end to keep up with the likes of Matteo, but we'll just have to wait and see. And I'd imagine Eruption and Best Mate going to be closing up to him very soon. You can even see down the straights, he's not closing whatsoever, and especially through these corners, he's really going to be struggling at this point.
And now we have Verdex slowly coming into his team right now. Team order is going to have to come into play to allow Williams to get all those points they want. And as well, Valo and Bestmate still tied together. But Brainsu is actually getting closer and closer to Vexed. He's been playing really good. He's been keeping his head into the game to get closer to Vexed right now, as he's still inside that DRS range. Previously, we saw that he was slowly getting out right now. But Brainsu needs to focus, get into the Vexed DRS range, get into his mind, and slowly creep his way into it. As he has the disadvantage right now with the ERS and the left tire advantage, Brainsu needs to really focus in these dying stages of this race. We have Verdicts right now getting slowly close to Valu. Most likely gonna let him in the DRS straight if he could catch up, but there needs to be some team play into this last laps.
I'd be inclined to agree with you here, as coming through turn number 13, Valu, it's in his best interest really to not put too much of a fight up with Verdex on the much fresher soft tyres. Coming in towards the first corner here, Valu not going to be pushing too hard. There goes Verdex to the right hand side, going to make this move stick up the inside line and towards turn number 1. But what about off the exit? Can he snatch a position off of Best Mate as well? As a little bit of a slide off the exit of the corner, doesn't seem like he's going to be close enough to go for the move through here. But what about possibly towards turn 3 and 4? You never know where you can find an avenue to overtake around this circuit. Doesn't seem like he's closing up just enough at this point. But he gave it a good go, and he managed to pick up a position on his teammate, who once again gets another 3-second penalty.
Yeah, it's not looking really good to Vala right now. He has so much penalties that it's basically impossible to widen the gap. But Verdex, he has a handful of laps left, and he's blistering right now with those soft tires. He's basically caught up to the train. Now he needs to catch up to Bestmate as much as possible, get into a DRS range to get into those good points. As the Eruption has a 3-second penalty, he needs to and as well Matteo with that 3-second penalty, and they're really close with each other. He needs to get quickly past these drivers so he can show off his pace and quickly go through this grid. As Brainstu is as well really close to Vexer right now, still keeping inside that DRS range even though the disadvantage he has. It's really interesting, and I feel like this is going to be a last lap situation. If Brainstu can keep up the pace, Vexit might make some mistakes, as Candy King has actually are going side by side right now with Eruption. We have Bestmate with the back row seats as Eruption goes in front of Candy King. Maybe Bestmate can get some sort of advantage out of this, can use this situation to his momentum. Has little moments with that ERS activating a bit early, but still looking good for the Mercedes right now. He's slowly catching up to him. Candy King with the 20% ERS, Bestmate with the 30%. He's looking really nice. But again, Verdex is going side by side, is literally in his gearbox. Yeah, this is really good racing. Verdex not allowing, cannot overtake him right now, but you can just see the pace difference. He's getting so close to him, and I feel like he's definitely gonna make some nice. Verdex is definitely gonna make some nice overtakes in the next DRS straight. He still has 4 laps to show off his pace, and this is going to be very monumental for Vertex.
Yeah, of course, all the battling between Eruption and Candy King really did play it into the hands of Vertex, because it bunched him up to this pack of cars that he can take advantage of with the fresher, soft compound of tyre. We'll see what he can do in towards the first corner here. Off the exit, all 3 cars flying foot flat to the floor as here they come in towards the first corner. Is anyone going to be close enough to even go for an overtake as they all Constantina up in towards the first corner, and now off the exit, who's got the best advantage in towards turn number 2. They're all going to follow single file. Best mate going very deep on the brake. Slight tap from Vertex there. That could put him offline and potentially make him a bit vulnerable to Valou in behind, who's still trying to make up some positions in this Grand Prix. But even in all of this, how close they've been, no one has made any overtakes. But Best Mate, he is looking pretty close to the back of Candy King now.
Vertex is driving as much as he can to keep in front of Vertex right now. He knows the pace difference is there, and he needs to keep in front of him to help his teammate. Well, his teammate has a 3-second penalty, so if Vertex can overtake these drivers and can stay within Mateo's penalty limit, he's looking for a provisional P4 right now, but Vertex needs to keep his head in the game, use his tires as much as he can. He might go for the move in this as he's slowly creeping up with that 2/10 gap in front of the driver in front of him. Going through his corner, make sure he gets that nice exit speed, rolling in that car through that corner. It looks like he's doing good, has 20% ERS. Got that DRS right now. It doesn't look like he's gaining much speed, but he is a lot. But doesn't look like he's gonna go for the overtake right now. As you see, goes for a little dive, nearly collecting him, but that's still a good gap for him. Has a little wheel spin coming off that corner. Valou slowly creeping behind of him. If Vertex doesn't do anything right now, he needs to quickly catch up to these drivers and get to the get in front of these, because right now it's not looking good for him right now. Even though there's so much points he can grab, he needs to keep his head in his game as he spins. No! No, that's so unfortunate for Vertex. Oh no, he pushed his car as much as he can. Oh, that's definitely some damage in that car. I can already feel the understeer in his wheel. That's so unfortunate for Vertex. There was so much points up for grabs for this driver, but that's just how life is. He pushed his car too much and he just spun.
He just went over the limit, and it's really unfortunate because he had some great pace. But it's looking like it's all over. Avi's also going to be trying to overtake him as he runs wide through turn number 11. That is really unfortunate, especially so close to the end. They've only got 2 laps to go in this race. Of course, points still are up for grabs. He can still keep the position over Avi. Avi's trying to go around the outside of turn 14. I wouldn't normally see a move.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but Best Mate is going side by side by Candy King right now, hoping to go for the overtake. Oh, unfortunately, tapping him in the rear. He's going side by side on turn 2 right now. Hopefully, might be over. Can go in front of him, getting that nice exit speed. Best Mate has overtaken Candy King for P6 or provisionally P4 if he can keep within that gap. Candy King is still looking behind him. So, but it doesn't. Yeah, but it looks like he has fallen back in the grid, especially with those 4-lap old tires. Valou as well is looking right behind him. This is where the time where medium are slowly falling off, and the hards are definitely faster now. I can see that from the pace. If Valou can keep close, then he might widen the gap. I don't think it's possible due to the 18-second penalty he has, but that's really good for the Mercedes right now.
Yeah, it was a brilliant committed move from Best Mate. He knew he had to make the overtake stick because Candy King was just going to hold him up even more, and he was probably going to fall out of the gap that he needs to overtake Eruption in this race, as they do fall onto the final lap of this Grand Prix. Doesn't seem like gaps are too close at the minute, but we could potentially see some moves. Candy King looking to the rear of him, because Valou coming in towards turn number 1. I just don't see a move coming out. He's got the DRS. They're in a train all together. As I say that, Magnetar gets past the damaged and wounded Vertex. Vertex going to send it up to the inside once again, and oh dear. I'm not too sure how I feel about that one there. But whilst all that's going on, I think Luca, he's got a clear win ahead of him.
all he needs to do now is bring it home, and with that 5-second gap to Vexit, he's been showing strong pace throughout this whole race, and it's really impressive drive from him, bringing a good hollow points for Ferrari and for himself as well. Brains2 tried his best to keep him with that DRS range, but doesn't look like it's gonna come and overtake him. But for right now, looks like Luca is going to the final corner, and Luca wins the Hungarian Grand Prix for Ferrari in Emerald Tier 1. What a race, as Vexit goes P2 and Brains2 P3. But interestingly, let's look where Bestmate ends up, see if he's in that gap with Matteo, as he's going through the final corners right now. Let's see if he can keep into that penalty range. Might be P4, and if it comes P4, that's going to be very good for Mercedes, as he's coming through the finish line, and he becomes P5, only 1 second away from Matteo. But P5 and P7 for the Mercedes, Candy King Lamp getting that P6 from Eruption's penalty, and Valu following way behind the grid due to his 18-second penalty, probably most likely going to be last place. And that is the race.
Was a you know what, for Hungary, for a track that you don't normally see too many overtakes on, I think we got a pretty healthy race, filled with a lot of battles throughout the entirety of it, and I think that was quite a fun Grand Prix. Well done to Brownie, picking up driver of the day, making up the most positions out of anyone on circuit. But it's that man on top, the Ferrari driver, winning in Hungary. Luca, he's going to be very pleased with that win there. P2 goes to Vexit, that's Luke Smith in the championship, and then rounding off the podium was Brains2. So top 3 is how you would expect it. They were all separated by just about 4.3 seconds. I remember Luca being a lot further ahead than Vexit up until towards the very end, so maybe he made a mistake. But of course, having that big buffer zone meant he managed to keep the gap. So I'd say Luca, even though he might have had a slight slip up at the end, I'd say be very pleased with how this race has gone.
What a race. For a Hungarian Grand Prix with no safety cars, there was a lot of retirements, but there was a lot of clean side-by-side racing. This was really good racing coming from the Emerald Tier 1 division. What a beautiful race today we had. We had a lot of overtakes and a lot of battles from Vexit, Brains2, and Matteo. These 3 drivers, and especially Luca as well, these 4 drivers were battling out as much as they can. Luca came out on top with that 5-second gap and just showed his pace overall. Matteo unlucky with the penalty, but having good points for Haas. Bestmate coming P5 for Mercedes, which is bringing good hollow points, and as well as Eruption coming as well. Unfortunately with the penalty, could have been higher up, but still bringing those good points as well. We could have had a good drive from Vertex, but unfortunately he has tried overtaking, pushed his car too much, and unfortunately spun off. Definitely a good race, and I can't wait for the future. As we will now start with interviews as well. See if we can get the drivers to come in here. But wow, what a race.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some words in from some of our drivers, because it was quite a fun Grand Prix to witness. If not, I'm sure that's okay. But trying to think who I'd give my own personal driver of the day to. I was going to give it to Vertex, but then he had his moment. I'd say that was shot of it. So I'm going to say it's probably the boring choice. I'm going to say Luca's my driver of the day. Yeah,
Luca had the pace today. He was on it. He was really on it. There's nothing to say. He had a perfect. I thought he was gonna suffer a little bit from the start, to be honest, because his qualifying he used 2 laps, and to be honest, I thought that was gonna definitely affect his race. But no, he showed his pace through the consistency, and really came out on top with that gap as well, and especially when strategy comes in with play, with the cars helling his drivers behind him, and the tire strategy as well. It was just a perfect race for him.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you. I was looking in the waiting room. I don't think I saw Brains2 was in there for a slight second, but he has oh no, he's back in. So I think we can bring him in and start his interview, I'd say.
Yes, so we can bring in Brains2 right now. Hello? Yes. Hello, Brains2. Welcome to the commentary booth. How do you feel today?
Yeah, very good. The pace, of course, wasn't comparable to Lucas, who was just uncatchable today. But yeah, the setup felt great, and I'm happy with the third place.
Yeah, you were keeping really consistent there, especially when going through the second run with those medium tires. You tried your best to keep inside that DRS range, but Vexit with his ERS management held you off. But your pace and consistency really showed off. But like, just explain to me what was going through your mind when, especially when you there was a lot of cars behind you, in front of you, and you're managing your tires. How was the management in this track?
Yeah, the second stint with the mediums was surely better than the softs, because softs were just overeating like crazy, while the mediums were just more manageable. But yeah, in the first laps I was just being overtaken by everybody because my front left was just on fire. So when I went to mediums, my pace was a bit better, and I could keep up with the lead guys like Luca and Vexit.
That's all good. Do you have any words for Brains to Dan before we invite the other drivers?
I'm just curious about the tyres at the end. Of course, they were very old coming towards it. How were you feeling when you were driving, and were you feeling like you were going to maybe spin out with or get a puncture with how they were worn?
The grip wasn't really there in the end. I was having a few snaps here and there, but no, I wasn't preoccupied about a puncture. I was was still in the safe zone, but yeah, grip surely wasn't great at the end.
Well, I'd certainly gotta hand it to you. Then you did really well in this race. I'm hoping the best for you for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brainsuit. Alright, now we can have our P2 finisher, Vexit, coming in right now. Vexit, how are you today? He's muted.
Muted.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him on. Oh, he's suppressed, muted. Here we are. Hello?
Hey.
There you are.
Yeah. But yeah, hello. I'm good. But yeah, good race, but Luca too quick.
Yes, you had really good ERS management. I would say you had that nice gap between Brainstew, especially Brainstew tried his best to keep within that DRS range. How hard was management for you?
Well, I wouldn't say my ERS management in the initial stages was good, and that's probably what let Luca gap quite a long way, because yeah, he was just chilling. He had great pace the whole race, and I think it was probably just a clicker from wing, because I knew we were on the same setup, but I decided to go one less front wing. So I thought ERS management would be quite a lot easier for me, but apparently not. And yeah, Luke had better ERS than me, but I had better ERS management than Brains do. Just biding my time and making the move at the right point. So yeah, just quite a strategic race. Probably not exciting from an external POV, but yeah, it was quite a challenging it was challenging in terms of figuring out the strategy and when to overtake without using too much ERS as well.
And of course, your consistency and pace pulled it through, not get any penalties which will affect your race. But now the next race is Singapore, where especially management is definitely hard in that track. ERS management is definitely going to be a factor to take in. How are you looking for the next race?
Well, in Singapore, I've actually really enjoyed myself on this game so far. Had a couple of time trial world records, but obviously haven't done much actual racing and management practice. So Yeah, that's going to be quite an interesting one. Hopefully going to be quite an enjoyable one to watch as well. Most likely going to be a lot of crashes as well, considering it's a street track and the walls are always right beside you. So yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yes, thank you so much. Dan, do you have anything to say for our P2 finisher?
I don't have any questions per se, but I'd just like to congratulate you on how your race went. Of course, you were very close with Brains2, and you provided a lot of entertainment for us when fighting with all of the older tyre runners. So hopefully, in Singapore next week and races beyond that, hopefully you can put on more performances like that. So I just gotta say, keep it up.
Yeah, cheers, and hopefully we can carry on that momentum in both the drivers and constructors.
With that consistency and pace, I won't be surprised if you do. But thank you so much for the race today, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see ya, Psycho.
See
Bye.
ya. And now we have the P1 finisher waiting in the waiting room. Dan, if you want to take it away. We have Luca, the P1 finisher today. Sir, mute as well, I think. Here we are.
Hello.
Dan, if you will like to take it away.
Hello. So first off, congratulations, Luca, on your brilliant performance today. You were really a cut above the rest. Just tell me about how, from your perspective, how your race went.
Straightforward, just time management, I guess, and tire temperatures were the main thing. Also, the pit stop was crucial to get like overtake Vex instantly, and then Luke Smith. Oh yeah, how his name is on Steam, I don't know. And then just to be the first one in the line to get Brains2, and then I was on the track, like getting past traffic first, and then it was just gapping the field.
Well, I mean, you certainly did a brilliant job of it, and now that we go into one very tricky and tight circuit, we go from Hungary to another one of Singapore. Next week we're headed to Marina Bay, very tricky circuit, almost kind of similar to Hungary. How do you feel with this track?
I feel I like the track. I don't know if I'm gonna be driving it because I'm a reserve and I just do races when I can, but I like the track because that's one of like the tracks I have the best performance at.
I think someone's coming to Luca's room there.
Yeah, no worries. But of course, Luca has shown, especially as a reserve driver, he's shown exceptional pace today, as well as especially with that tire management. He had older tire wear beginning from the race, and it really surprised me how well he kept in the race, and that consistency as well, not getting any warnings. How are you looking forward for the next race in Singapore?
Well, as I said, if I'm gonna be driving it, it's gonna be good. But yeah, I'm sorry for that. My parents came into the room.
No worries, no worries. Well, that's
yeah.
all good. Thank you so much, Luca, for racing today. You really showed off your pace and your consistency.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for Tier 1 racing today. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a brilliant race that we witnessed today, and hopefully for the rest of the season, it's going to be just as good. I think for my first race in MRL, I'd be pretty pleased with how this has gone.
Especially as a reserve capacity, this was a race to remember for him. Hopefully we can see more of his racing craft in the next few races. But that's all for us. Thank you, Dan, and for joining us today. Really good commentary, and thank for me as well. I need some water because my mouth is dry. Alright, well, thank you everyone for sticking around, and we'll see you next time in Singapore. Bye bye.